The best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of the show. Lots to talk about over the next 60 minutes. The jealousy in the WNBA reaching an all-time high. We'll get to that. Some news from baseball. Cal Raleigh's 33rd home run of the season. The Steelers all in on the 2025 season. We'll get to that as well, but we start things out in the National Basketball Association with our friend. It's been a while since we've seen this guy, Brandon Scoop Robinson, hanging out with us on the show. ScoopB Radio, ScoopB.com. Check him out there, and he hangs out with us to talk about all these crazy NBA moves. I'm going to actually recap every single move in the next segment. We're not going to do that now, Scoop, because I only got a few minutes with you. But I got to get your thoughts. What was the move yesterday that sort of stood out the most to you and made you go, wow? Was it the Nuggets?
I guess that was cool. Honestly, I like to hold it down for the centers. I really enjoyed seeing Brook Lopez find his way to the Clippers. The Clippers are trying to build something that I think is worth talking about. Number one, James Harden taking less money to make sure that happens, and so Brook Lopez joining a formidable situation where you are adding at the center position, and likely we'll see a Chris Paul return there in Los Angeles as well, and I think that's something that should be talked about. I think the Clippers did pretty well in day one of free agency.
What'd you make of the Lakers just stay in LA for a second here, allowing Dorian Finney-Smith to go and bring in sort of, more of an unheralded player, and, think what you want of Dorian Finney-Smith. He added something to that team. There's no question, when he came over last season. What did you make of what the Lakers did here so far?
I wasn't really surprised that the Houston Rockets are the hottest ticket in town, and Dorian came in from that Luka Doncic trade, and he didn't really seem to fit in that system consistently throughout the course of the season. And Houston will definitely give him the opportunity to play his game, be back in the state of Texas, and play alongside Kevin Durant, Fred VanVleet, and head coach Ime Udoka. I thought that was a good move. The Lakers are trying to create a situation where they have 2-year deals with guys, and it's looking like they're building around Luka and LeBron, but ultimately there are some questions that both sides are going to have to answer on that front.
ESPN is reporting that Miles Turner is going to be departing Indiana in favor of a 4-year, $107 million deal in Milwaukee with the Bucks. Does this point to the team holding on to Giannis? Because when they look at the East, they have to think, hey, we have as good a chance as anybody with sort of the Celtics and Tatum being out and Halliburton being out with the Pacers. Does this point to you, them hanging on to Giannis?
Potentially. I know that Giannis has been watching very closely at what's been going on, and I know that teams like the Toronto Raptors are looking to still swoop in on a Giannis Antetokounmpo pairing, if you will. So in answer to your question, yeah, the East could be wide open, but I still think the Knicks are still there. They've added some pieces there in the offseason. The Cavaliers are still there. They did get rid of Isaac Okoro, but they brought in Lonzo Ball, who I think will be a good fit. Kenny Atkinson's system. They're definitely some teams in the Eastern Conference. I know that everybody talks about it being wide open, but so in the West. I think the NBA at large is like college basketball. It's anybody can win every year.
I am getting your reaction to this in real time because this just broke literally while we're talking. The Bucks are waiving Damian Lillard. What is your reaction?
No surprise.
Wow. Do you see him landing something? I mean, he's not going to be available till mid-season. Will teams just wait?
Potentially. I think there are teams out there that could utilize his services right now. I don't know of any team specifically that, would use him. I think he's in a similar situation like Kyrie Irving, except Kyrie is on a team. There are teams that will be looking for a point guard at some point in the spring, and it'll be interesting to see where he lands.
You mentioned the Knicks. Do you like the Jordan Clarkson move?
No surprise.
I mean, he's not going to be available till mid-season. Will teams just wait?
Yes.
Tell me why you like it. I'm so infuriated by the Knicks right now as a Knicks fan because of this whole coaching situation, which we need a whole nother segment to talk about that we don't have time for. But tell me why Clarkson makes so much sense for them as a scorer off the bench.
Scorer. I mean, you said it. A scorer off the bench. A guy that's played on young teams, older teams, competing teams, and he doesn't hurt you. And so I like Clarkson's ascension to Pennsylvania Plaza.
Malik Beasley. The NBA had to love when free agency came because it literally came the day after this Malik Beasley story broke. Do you think the way it's being reported, it's almost portraying him as the bad guy when it's betting irregularities in terms of the way the game was being bet, not necessarily something he did? Like, I don't know how to look at this stuff because we had the Terry Rozier story, where he's been sort of cleared of not having done anything wrong. I just wonder when guys' names get lumped in with these sorts of stories, they get tarnished before any investigation's even been finished.
I don't know enough about it to comment, but what I will say is that I don't sports gamble for that very reason because of, the alignment of what I do professionally. And I think the same should. Many players should take heed to that as well. What you hang around and what you do, it's a slippery slope and you just have to be careful.
A thought on the Hawks. It feels like between the draft and I think you're with me. It feels like the Hawks could be sort of that sneaky, really good team next year.
Yeah, I like the move to bring in Kristaps Porzingis. Clint Capella left, and I think Quinn Snyder's team is on the up and up. They want to retain Trae Young, so they had to make those moves to keep him in his services. So I like the move to Atlanta. I think, this is a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2021 and kind of has just gone by the wayside over the last few years. So I'm interested to see how this will benefit them in the long run. And I'm happy for them. I'm glad to see that level of success. And as you mentioned, they're that sneaky team in the East that could come in and swoop in.
Yeah, they certainly could. Brandon Scoop Robinson, ScoopB Radio, ScoopB.com. Listen, I always appreciate you. I know you're busy, especially with everything going on in free agency. Be well, my friend. Let's catch up again soon. One day we'll have you on when we have a little more time. How's that?
That works for me, man. Thank you for the opportunity to be myself.
Absolutely. Brandon Scoop Robinson hanging out with us on the show. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to do on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap, including a rundown of all the moves you may not have heard of from Monday. We're coming back. Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Good to have you with us. Sam Yarnell will join the mix in about 10 minutes. Talk about what's going on in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, where they made some moves over the last couple of days that certainly point to, well, I think that it's certainly a statement to their fan base. We'll just leave it at that. We'll get to it in a couple of minutes. If you have missed the last, 24 hours or so in the NBA, I wanted to give you a sense for just how crazy NBA free agency has been. Everybody's predicted this could be one of the wildest NBA off seasons. And if the first 24 to 48 hours is any indication of that, we are in for a wild ride here over the next week or two as all these dominoes fall into place. And we've already started to see it. So I thought just to give you a little flavor today on the show, we'd do something a little different. The following is a reading of everything that has taken place up until 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday morning. Basically over a 24-hour period, 26-hour period. This is everything that's happened. All right, cue up the music, maestro. Here we go. Everything that's happened over the last 24 hours. And I mean everything. We are going to give you everything. Even stuff you didn't even know you wanted. Let's see. The Nets signed a 2-year, $12 million deal with free agent forward Zaire Williams. The Jazz way forward Johnny Juzang, who the 24-year-old started 18 games last year, 8 points in 20 minutes. By the way, all of this courtesy of our friends over at ESPN. Colin Gillespie signing a one-year contract to return to the Phoenix Suns. Free agent Joe Ingles, a one-year $3.6 million deal with the Timberwolves. Free agent big man Day'Ron Sharpe, a two-year $12 million deal with the Nets. Averaged 8 points, 6.6 rebounds a game last year for Brooklyn. Free agent forward Nicholas Batum, a two-year $11.5 million going back to the Clippers. I love that move, by the way. Free agent, let's see, where else did I miss here? Jordan Clarkson. We mentioned it in the conversation just a moment ago with our friend Brandon Scoop Robinson, finalizing a contract buyout with the Jazz. He's going to go to the Knicks and certainly help them in terms of production off the bench. Sacramento Kings coach Mike Brown, a second meeting with the Knicks. Could be their next head coach. Keep an eye on that, according to Shams Charania. The Grizzlies and Jaren Jackson Jr. 5 years, $240 million. Wow. Player opt-in for the final year when they get to 2029. Santi Aldama, 3 years, $52.5 million to go back to the Grizzlies. Dorian Finney-Smith, 4 years, $53 million with the Rockets. Paul Reed, the free agent center forward, 2 years, $11 million to return to the Pistons. The Grizzlies and guard Cam Spencer, 2 years, $4.5 million, fully guaranteed, by the way. Grizzlies and Cole Anthony's reps working toward a deal that will allow Memphis to create the cap space to renegotiate and extend that Jaren Jackson Jr. while giving Anthony the opportunity to find his next destination. So Cole Anthony traded to Orlando, not going to be staying in Orlando. We mentioned the Lakers, who let go of Dorian Finney-Smith. They have opted for Jake LaRavia, a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Lakers. Had a strong finish after he joined the Kings last season. Free agent guard Trey Jones gets a 3-year, $24 million contract to return to the Bulls. D'Angelo Russell, we mentioned this in our conversation with our friend Brandon Scoop Robinson. 2 years, $13 million with the Mavericks. It gives them a wonderful stopgap measure while they wait for Kyrie Irving to return. Then who knows what happens to him after that? Does he go to the bench? We'll have to wait and see. The Nuggets trade Michael Porter Jr. I thought this was arguably one of the biggest moves of yesterday, because it certainly signals the intention that, this argument that the Nuggets, this argument the Nuggets are wasting the prime of Nikola Jokic. By the way, he won a championship. You know how many great players didn't win championships during the Michael Jordan era that you could argue their primes were wasted? Just saying. Michael Porter Jr. Goes to Brooklyn in exchange for Cam Johnson. Porter Jr., an unprotected 2032 first-round pick to the Nets for Cam Johnson. Ty Jerome, 3 years, $28 million with the Grizzlies. You know what he meant to that Cavaliers team. That's a great move for the Memphis Grizzlies. Kevin Porter Jr., 2 years, $11 million to return to the Bucks. And this is another one for the Nuggets that didn't get a lot of play yesterday. Bruce Brown was part of that championship team. Well, they're getting the band back together at least a little bit. A one-year deal for him to go back to the Nuggets, spent last season with the Raptors and the Pelicans. Free agent center Kevon Looney, 2 years, $16 million with the Pelicans. He departs the Warriors after being part of a veteran presence on that team. Luke Cornett did a great job with the Celtics, and he gets paid handsomely. A $41 million deal with the Spurs, a 4-year contract for him. Clint Capella is going back to Houston, where it all began. He'll join the Rockets on a 3-year, $21.5 million deal. He was drafted by the Rockets in 2014, was there for 6 seasons, then was traded to Atlanta in 2020. Karis LeVert, 2 years, $29 million with the Pistons. Brooke Lopez, we mentioned it in our conversation with Scoop Robinson. Brooke Lopez gets an $18 million deal with the Clippers for 2 years. I think that is a great move for that team, certainly. Scoop Robinson agreed with that. Luke Garza, free agent center, no longer. 2 years, $5.5 fully guaranteed with the Boston Celtics. Alexander Walker, you know him from his time with the T-Wolves. He gets a 4-year, $62 million deal with the Hawks, who just continue to add to that roster. By the way, the Hawks sending a 2027 second-round pick via Cleveland, cash considerations to the T-Wolves to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker via that sign-and-trade. Tyus Jones, a one-year deal, $7 million for him. Free agent Luke Kennard, 1 year, $11 million with the Hawks. Free agent Mason Plumlee, 1 year, $3.6 million with the Charlotte Hornets. Taurean Prince, $7.1 million for a 2-year deal. I would love to just add up all the money in these deals. Can we just do that? That'd be fun to do. Trendon Watford, 2 years, $5.3 million with the 76ers. Gary Trent Jr., $7.5 million with a player option for him, 2 years with the Bucks. And last but not least, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting paid. 4 years, $285 million Supermax deal for him. I think we got it all in. Switch gears, talk NFL next. Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Coming up in 10 minutes, I think the argument is over as it relates to jealousy in the WNBA when it comes to Caitlin Clark. The most obvious sign of that coming up. Just one that makes you shake your head. Sam Yarnell is here for the first time today on the show, looking dapper as always. Sam, I need your thoughts on the Steelers, because this story actually broke when we were in the middle of our window yesterday, but we didn't really get to it. And now that the dust is settled, I think it's a little easier to talk about and sort of soak in what the Steelers have done here in the last 24 to 48 hours, where they've decided to go all in on the 2025 season. Whether you like the Aaron Rodgers move or not, whether you think it's the right move or not, whether you think he's going to be great or not, they have pushed all their chips to some degree here into the middle of the table. For those who are getting excited, it's World Series of Poker season. I'll give you a little love there. They've pushed all their chips to the middle and have made the decision to go all in on this season with some of the moves we've seen them make here in the last 24 to 48 hours. There is still the TJ Watt stuff that is hanging out there, which we need to talk about. But as it relates to 2025, it feels like the Steelers are all in and that this is the last season for Aaron Rodgers, because they're certainly playing it that way.
It is World Series of Poker season, and it's a mess out there in Vegas. I mean, there is so much going on at poker tables these past few days, Jason.
Yep.
Don't order a strawberry banana smoothie, if you know what I'm saying. My gosh, that was a crazy one. Yeah, so this is actually one of the rare times that the internet graded this trade perfectly. What a lose-lose deal for both teams. For the Dolphins, I mean, we don't even have to get into it. They get objectively worse at multiple positions, get minor draft capital in 2 years. It makes no sense. The Miami Dolphins are a team grasping at straws, as they seem to be for the last 4 to 6 weeks of last season. Mike McDaniel may be starting the season as the hottest seeded NFL head coach. So, yeah, not really concerned about the Dolphins' perspective. The Steelers, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? This front office is at this point asking for their jobs to be taken from them. They're playing Madden 25 in real life. It makes absolutely no sense. They're doing that thing that 13-year-olds do when they get Madden for the first time, and they just go out and trade for a bunch of players based on name value and not actual talent. This trade makes absolutely no sense. Somehow you devalue both Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth by making this trade. You make a mediocre secondary almost more mediocre, trading one veteran at the end of his career for another veteran at the end of his career. I just don't understand it from a Steelers perspective. You mentioned the Watt thing, and I think that just kind of speaks more to this organization is in dire straits right now, and they are trying to do anything possible. All in is certainly one way to describe it. Grasping for a lifeline is the word that I'd like to choose to use for the Steelers right now, because they've got almost nothing left.
Well, I mean, look, it is an all-in season, and it almost feels like this is going to be the final push with this group as we know it, maybe Mike Tomlin included, where they take one last run at this and then decide, all right, we're going to turn the page. We're going to rebuild. And Steeler fans had better be prepared for that. Steeler fans had better be prepared for the possibility that the mechanics of this offseason for this organization, the mechanics of this offseason are telling you everything you need to know without them coming out and verbally saying it, that this is going to be the last push of this era of, hey, the Steelers make the playoffs every year and that's good enough. To me, it speaks to, we're going to try and do it one last time. We're with everything we can grab our hands onto, like I said, and you could talk about grasping at straws. To me, it spells out that's the direction they've decided to go. For better or for worse, that's what they've decided to do.
I would understand that, but then the George Pickens move makes absolutely zero sense. If you're going all in, why are you trading one of your best young players? Yeah, your best young player. TJ Watt's not young anymore. This team is doing things that contradict themselves at this point, which is, again, why I say that the internet got this correct in all these Madden references that they make, because it's exactly what you do when you play franchise mode in Madden. You trade the players that are going to be good in the future for one that might be good now. That is literally the DK Metcalf bring in George Pickens trade out move that the Steelers made this offseason. I just cannot wrap my head around this team being competitive, but that's a different story, around why this team continues to make the moves that they do. It makes no sense. And trust me, I'm not saying that I'm smarter than these people. There could be some long-term game plan that they're playing that I don't see, and maybe there's some cap number that'll get freed up in 3 years because they're hiring all these horrible players at the end of their careers now. But I just don't understand how you can be the Pittsburgh Steelers organization with all the narratives that have surrounded it for the past calendar year and go out and have the offseason that they've had.
I'm going to read you something that I think really speaks to the potential for the dumpster fire that the Steelers could be this year. And I think it validates a lot of what you're saying. The win totals for them on FanDuel, wow.
Yeah.
Like my jaw almost just hit the floor here in the studio, and I sit in a high chair, so that's a long way to go. 6.5 wins. The over is minus 290. The under is plus 240. Over 8.5 wins, plus 105. Under 8.5, minus 125. Over 10.5, plus 310. Under 10.5, minus 400.
They are minus 172 to miss the playoffs. This is a team, to give you comparison, the Cardinals have about the same odds to miss the playoffs. The Falcons and Patriots both have better odds to miss the playoffs. I just don't understand.
Only plus 140, though. The Steelers only plus 140 to make the playoffs.
That's a criminal number. If you're betting that number, just based on the win totals that Jason just read you,
right?
If you're going to bet plus 140 on them to make the playoffs, it doesn't make sense.
It's contradictory. It's totally contradictory. They're pushing them all in, though, for whatever it's worth. World Series of Poker main event gets started this week, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in there as well. Talk to my buddy Lon McCarron. We're coming back. WNBA next. We take it to segment 4 on this Tuesday edition of the show. Baseball in 10 minutes. Cal Raleigh ringing the home run bell once again for one of my favorite numbers, 33. We'll get to that coming up. And a big night for one member of the Boston Red Sox who did something that you rarely see. They say you can watch baseball for a zillion years and see something you've never seen. Well, most people saw something last night they've never seen. We'll talk about that as well. Sam Yarnell, I am just blown away. The argument is over. It's done. We can no longer have this conversation. And I've seen this thing argued in the media. I've seen it argued in social media. This conversation of are WNBA players jealous of Caitlin Clark? Is there hatred? Is there animosity? Is there this thing? Is there that thing? That conversation has been officially put to rest. It's, as Howard Cosell used to say, it is over. It's done. Because when you have a player vote that comes out and ranks her 9th amongst players at her position, at the guard position, you're not talking 9th overall in the league. We're not talking 9th overall in the league in the player vote for the WNBA All-Star game. We are talking 9th amongst fellow guards in the WNBA, Sam Yarnell. When that is the opinion of WNBA peers of Caitlin Clark, the conversation's over. You have shown your petty jealousy towards this woman. And I'm not one of these people that tries to turn it into... I'm not looking for that sort of drama conversation, but it's clear that that is what exists here. And I don't know if there has ever been, and maybe you could think of this, and maybe people out there could think of it. If so, hit us up on X at the back page or at Sam_Yarnell. Has there ever been a player where this level of animus and jealousy has existed? And here's the other thing, Sam. One more thing, because I haven't said enough. One more thing on this. The WNBA yesterday or the day before just announced they're adding a whole bunch of new teams by the time we get to 2030. And the only reason they're able to get to 18 teams and add Cleveland and Detroit and all these different markets that are going to get teams, the only reason this is happening, and nobody wants to hear this, the only reason they're going to be able to do this was the splash that she made last year coming into the league and the ripple effects of that. That's what started all of this going in that direction, Sam. Help me understand it.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Oh, but, yeah, I would.
Well, just because this is a plan that the WNBA has had in place since before the Caitlin Clark storm at Iowa even became a thing. But regardless, to answer the question, Tom Brady is the name that immediately comes to mind, because I think there was a little bit more animosity among the players towards Tom Brady for much more valid reasons, though, right? The Tom Brady thing is easily explained. The guy cheated and was caught cheating and also kept winning, and then also kept winning while he was cheating. And on top of all of that, he was married to the most famous supermodel woman, and he had this wholesome family, and he was the king of Boston too. The animosity towards Tom Brady was I don't want to say much more justified or understandable, but much more justified and understandable.
Was that more towards Brady, or was that towards the Patriots? Because I always felt like that was more towards the Patriots as an organization.
See, I think they were two separate things. I think amongst the fans, but between you and me, it was definitely towards the Patriots, 100%. But we're not talking about the fans. We're talking about the players. And I think among the brotherhood of the NFL, the animosity fell on Tom Brady and Bill Belichick centrally, but divided evenly between those two. Not necessarily towards, your Gerard Mayos or, random role players or Mike Vrabels or other guys who were just on those teams. Brady was the one that comes to mind. I obviously was not alive during the majority of his career, but I would assume that the animosity towards Michael Jordan or other players on those 90s Bulls teams, be it Dennis Rodman or even Scottie Pippen, but I don't really think he was the type to rub people the wrong way. I think those guys would be comparable, but I do think that within this whole conversation, it's very interesting that the only athletes that we're comparing Caitlin Clark to in terms of how they're hated amongst their peers are other men, right? We've never seen an athlete like this in any women's. I take that back. Hope Solo, maybe. that was a very interesting relationship and how it evolved over those couple of years between Hope Solo and USA Soccer and her teammates there. So that may be another one. But I think that's like a big four. I think it's like Brady, Hope Solo, and then pick your two of the 90s Bulls.
I have said this for years. This is a larger discussion that we need more than 43 seconds to talk about. Everybody always talks about men hating on women. But there is no greater hatred towards women in this world than the hatred of other women. We've seen it in our politics, and we see it in our sports. There is no greater hatred and animosity and jealousy towards women than the hatred from within their own world. There's no argument on this. There's no argument on this. And in this case, the conversation's over. The argument's over. It's obvious what we're seeing here. We got to come back. There is baseball to get to, and we will get to it next. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with some thoughts on Wimbledon. It's something I've complained about before, and I'll complain about it again. That's part of what we'll talk about. Whole host of upsets on day one. Fun watching my guy Patrick McEnroe, though, along with James Blake. James Blake, by the way, committing to coming on the show after Wimbledon. Love that guy. He's a good dude. All right, Sam Yarnell, let's talk some baseball. And Cal Raleigh, it had been like a week, little over a week, but Cal Raleigh is back on the board in the home run department. Hits his 33rd last night. I will say, though, as big as Raleigh hitting that home run is, and I'm not trying to like gloss over the fact that he hit a home run or leads, baseball in home runs or any of that stuff, because of the fact that I love Aaron Judge and we want Aaron Judge to win a Triple Crown this year. To me, the bigger story in that game is Randy Arozarena hitting 2. Because if that team's going anywhere, they need Randy Arozarena. That if the Mariners are to go anywhere, it can't just be Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. There's got to be somebody else in that lineup that's producing. And Randy Arozarena hitting a couple of home runs in that game, because he has been a bust since getting to Seattle last year. That was last year, right, that deal? I think that was last year. It feels like it was so long ago. But Arozarena, if he could get hot and start hitting for that team, that is going to make a huge difference. But Cal Raleigh, number 33, and the chance of MVP, Sam Yarnell, from fans in Seattle. I don't know if the odds makers necessarily would agree with that, but where are we right now on that? Let's see. We've got Aaron Judge at minus.
Odds makers are scared.
Yeah, Judge is minus 1,200 and Cal Raleigh is plus 600. So that's where we are as far as that's concerned.
But again, that's down from Judge being minus 200,000 2 weeks ago. So yes, I am going to go with the odds makers are in fact scared. Listen, this is how I'm going to look at this. I think if Cal Raleigh played the whole season and caught the same ratio of games that he's been catching and continued to be a switch hitter and continued the pace, even if he fell short, if he hit 53 homers, he would win it. Do I think that will happen? No. It is incredibly hard for catchers to stay healthy for an entire 162-game season. Add in the fact that he is the best hitting catcher, maybe right now the best hitter in the American League. He should, right? Like if the season ended today, do I think he would probably get more votes? Yes, I also think that has to do with recency bias and the fact that Aaron Judge has been, like we said yesterday, hitting at the Mendoza line for the last 3 weeks now. But I don't think that Cal Raleigh will be able. I think he'll break the catcher record. I think he'll hit 49. He'll surpass Salvador Perez from a few years ago. I don't think that he's going to get past like 52, 53. I don't think he's going to catch the entirety of the rest of the season, which really sucks because like it would be so cool to see a switch hitting catcher win the MVP. But I know baseball, and it's hard for me to sit here and say that, this guy's going to be able to get down and get behind the plate for, 70 more games.
Aaron Judge, by the way, still the favorite on FanDuel right now to lead the league in home runs. He is minus 130. Cal Raleigh at plus 170. Then Shohei Ohtani at plus 300 in case you were interested in such a wager. And if you're looking for a long shot, Kyle Schwarber is plus 3,000. Eugenio Suarez is plus 4,800. And James Wood is plus 10,000, by the way. Only mentioning that because we were talking about him on the show yesterday.
They're just going to keep walking him. He won't hit another home run. They're just going to keep walking him. He's got no offense around him.
Wilyer Abreu for the Red Sox last night, doing something rarely ever seen in baseball. It hadn't happened in like generations. He goes inside the park home run and grand slam in the same game, Sam Yarnell. Pretty remarkable stuff from Abreu, who's had a nice season at times for this Red Sox team.
I mean, Wilyer Abreu is the ultimate question mark in Boston, right? And I think if you're a Red Sox fan, you simultaneously love and hate to see this.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
I couldn't
that's
hold
a
it
first.
in anymore. That's how excited Wilyer Abreu makes me on the show.
Or you're allergic to him. I don't know.
I'm allergic to Red Sox talk.
Okay.
That's what it is. All this Yankees propaganda you've been pushing, it's really hitting home over the last couple of years. But listen, the Wilyer Abreu thing is an ultimate question mark. If I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm happy to see him do that last night, but I'm ultimately sad because there's such a blockage in that Red Sox outfield. They've got a ton of young guys ready to come up. They're in a very in-between spots. So I'm interested to see what happens with that Red Sox outfield over the course of the next 4 weeks as we approach the trade deadline. But yes, a great night from Wilyer Abreu. I'm very happy I started him in fantasy yesterday.
By the way, speaking of Yankees propaganda, Anthony Volpe's got to go. I'm done with Anthony Volpe. I mean, we all right. The guy's a career like 225 hitter. Now he's making stupid
folks.
Now he's making dumb plays on the infield. Come on.
We were in this same situation last year. They were saying the same thing about Gleyber Torres. Turns out he's the best or second best second baseman in the American League. Who saw that coming? Sometimes you just need a change of scenery and maybe some better fans.
You think Anthony Volpe's good?
I think he's got a lot of potential.
Oh my God, it's been 3 years.
Really hard time.
It's been 3 years at this point. What more do I need to see? He's not developing. If you want to say it's the Yankees' fault, then say it's the Yankees' fault. But there's no questioning the fact the guy is just not developing. He's not getting better. In fact, he's getting worse.
That is true.
Odds and ends are next. Welcome back to Sports Wrap. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. Tomorrow on the show, Kurt Heelan, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. Thoughts with him on who knows what other free agency moves we might see. The Knicks coaching search continues to ramp up. Team deciding it's not going to pursue Dawn Staley any further. She's not a candidate for the job, but Mike Brown certainly is, as we briefly chronicled earlier in the show. So we'll see what's going on across the NBA as a busy week with free agency and potential trades continues to play out. That is on tomorrow's show. Couple of reminders for you. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can get this show. Simple as that. If you have not checked it out yet, please make sure to do so. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. You can watch us on over 220 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada. It's an amazing thing that we've done over the first 18 months of this show, something we're very proud of. But we've also made it easier for you to watch the show. For those that may not get it every day at a particular time or a place, you can also watch us over on Spotify. That's one way to watch the show. commercial-free Monday through Friday, or over on our YouTube channel, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, which is a great way to watch the show. You get it all right there, Monday through Friday. It's usually available early in the afternoon. Go and check that out. Also, SportsWrap Shorts are there. When there is breaking news, we are there to cover it with SportsWrap Shorts. If you have not done so yet, make sure to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that very much. All right, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Wimbledon. Can we spend just a couple of minutes talking about Wimbledon today? Somebody's got to help me understand how you have four majors. You have four majors in tennis. Okay, you got the Australian Open, Roland Garros with the French Open, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. How you can have one of those tournaments where you have a curfew that says at 11 p.m. London time, whatever they call it out there, 11 p.m. London time, no matter what's going on, the matches stop. Maybe because the neighbors, they don't like the noise, whatever it may be. But 11 p.m., we shut it down, no matter what. How is that possible? How can you have one of your four biggest tournaments in tennis? A match between Taylor Fritz yesterday, who's out there, down 2-0 against a guy hitting serves 153 miles an hour. By the way, that's just crazy. I don't know how you even see it when it's coming at you that hard, let alone return it and get it in. How that, one of your biggest stages in all of the sport, and they say, nope, 2-2, we're going to the fifth set. There's still 45 minutes of daylight left. 45 minutes, I shouldn't say daylight. There's 45 minutes until we get to that 11 p.m. curfew. We don't want to chance it. We're not going to start the fifth set. Well, both players have to agree on it. One didn't, so we're not going to play. How that is your policy, how that is your mechanism in one of your biggest tournaments is beyond me. It's got to change. The same way tennis decided to change the tiebreaker rules, which, by the way, I wasn't a big fan of. No fifth set, where they just go on until somebody wins by 2 games. I wish they continued that. I think it's one of the ultimate things that you see in athletics, that you have these fifth sets that would just go on forever. But how you could have that in one of your tournaments? You're able to change the rules. How you're allowed to have one of the majors of the tennis season decided this way, where the guys then got to go home and go to sleep. It's a completely different vibe when they come back to play on Tuesday, regardless of who wins. You are manipulating the outcome by doing what they're doing at Wimbledon with this 11 p.m. curfew. Aside from that, tons of upsets on day one at Wimbledon. Daniel Medvedev can't get out of his own way right now. A lot of top seeds falling. And there's a reason why when you look at the men's side and the betting odds over on FanDuel right now, Alcaraz is plus 120 to win the whole thing. Sinner's plus 170. Djokovic is plus 600, and then there's a huge drop-off because there is no confidence in anybody other than these guys to potentially win. Whereas on the women's side, there's a little more parity. Sabalenka plus 250, Rybakina plus 500, Coco Gauff plus 700, Swiatek plus 800, Madison Keys plus 1300. There's a chance for some of these people outside of the top, 1, 2, or 3 players in the world. On the men's side right now, there is zero confidence whatsoever that you're going to get, somebody on the men's side other than Alcaraz or Sinner that wins this Wimbledon. I hope I'm wrong. We love great stories on this show, but it feels like that's sort of where we are right now. It's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks to Sam Yarnell. Thanks to Brandon Scoop Robinson. Thanks to you for watching. We'll be back here on Wednesday. Kurt Heelan on the show, pro basketball talk at NBCsports.com. At that time, we'll see you.